children, how are you? I hope you all are fit and fine. Well, I'm Satinder Kaur and today I'll be taking up an English lesson for class 8 and the name of the lesson is Bepin Choudhury's Lapse of Memory. It's a beautiful story written by famous Indian filmmaker and Bengali writer Satyajit Ray. But before we start, let me ask you something. Do you have a good memory or do you often forget things? And how do you feel when you forget things? Suppose your teacher gives you homework and you forget to do that. How do you feel when she scolds you? Or if you forget your friend's birthday? You certainly feel bad, right? Children, these are very small things, and even then, when you forget these things, you feel bad. Now, what if you completely forget a part of your life? You will go crazy. And a similar thing happens to Bepin Choudhury in this story. He goes nearly crazy because he is not able to recall even a bit of his Ranchi visit. Although he insists that he has never been to Ranchi, but there are people in this story who claim otherwise. Now, what is this suspense all about? Let's read the story and find out.
Every Monday, on his way back from work, Bepin Choudhury would drop in at Kali Charan's in New Market to buy books. He lived alone, was not a good mixer, had few friends and didn't like spending time in idle chat. Today at Kali Charan's, Bipin Babu had the feeling that someone was observing him from close quarters. He turned round and found himself looking at a round-faced, meek-looking man who now broke into a smile. "I don't suppose you recognize me? Have we met before?" asked Bipin Babu. The man looked greatly surprised. "We met every day for a whole week. I arranged for a car to take you to the Hudru Falls in 1958 in Ranchi. My name is Parimal Ghosh." Bipin Babu now turned towards the bookshelves and said, "Still, you're making a mistake. One often does. I've never been to Ranchi." The man now laughed aloud. "What are you saying, Mr. Chaudhury? You had a fall in Hudru and cut your right knee. Can't you recall anything? Someone else you know was also in Ranchi at that time, Mr. Dinesh Mukherjee. You stayed in a bungalow. You said you didn't like hotel food and would prefer to have your meals cooked by a bawarchi. I'll tell you more. You always carried a bag with your books in it on your sightseeing trips. Am I right or not?" Bipin Babu spoke quietly, his eyes still on the books. "Which month in 58 are you talking about?" The man said, "October." "No, sir," said Bipin Babu. "I spent puja in 58 with a friend in Kanpur. You're making a mistake. Very strange. One evening I had tea with you in a veranda of your bungalow. You spoke about your family. You said you had no children and that you had lost your wife 10 years ago. Your only brother had died insane, which is why you didn't want to visit the mental hospital in Ranchi." So children, in the first part of the story, you read that one day Bipin Babu met a stranger at a bookshop. The stranger told him that he had met him in Ranchi in 1958, but Bipin Babu did not recognize him and said that he had never been to Ranchi. The man looked surprised and told Bipin Babu many things related to his Ranchi trip and his life. Although he seemed to know a lot about him, yet Bipin Babu did not believe him. Now what happened next? Let's read the second part and find out. Bipin Babu's car was safely parked in Bertrand Street by the Lighthouse Cinema. He told the driver as he got into the car, "Just drive by the Ganga, will you, Sitaram?" Driving up the Strand Road, Bipin Babu regretted having paid so much attention to the intruder. He had never been to Ranchi. No question about it. Was he losing his mind? But how could that be? He was working daily in his office. It was a big firm and he was doing a responsible job. He wasn't aware of anything ever going seriously wrong. And yet, the man knew a great deal about him. How? He even seemed to know some intimate details: the bag of books, wife's death, brother's insanity. Around Hastings, Bipin Babu decided to roll up his trousers and take a look at his right knee. There was a mark of an old inch-long cut. He tried to recall such an incident, but couldn't. Then Bipin Babu suddenly thought of Dinesh Mukherjee. The man had said that Dinesh was in Ranchi at the same time. The best thing surely would be to ask him. But then, if he had really never been to Ranchi, what would Dinesh think if Bipin Babu asked for a confirmation? He would probably conclude Bipin Babu was going nuts. No, it would be ridiculous to ask him. After dinner, snuggling in bed with one of the new thrillers, Bipin Babu forgot all about the man in Newmarket. Next day in the office, Bipin Babu noticed that with every passing hour, the previous day's encounter was occupying more and more of his mind. Just before lunch, Bipin Babu decided to ring up Dinesh Mukherjee. It was better to settle the question over the phone. At least the embarrassment on his face wouldn't show. Bipin Babu dialed the number. Hello, is that Dinesh? This is Bipin here. I just wanted to find out if you recalled an incident which took place in 58. Wait, just a minute. 58? Just let me check in my diary. Yes, I've got it. The trip to Ranchi. You were there too. Bipin Babu slammed the receiver down and gripped his head with his hands. A chill seemed to spread over his body. There were sandwiches in his tiffin box, but he didn't eat them. He had lost his appetite. So children, in this part, you saw that although Bipin Babu was sure that he had never been to Ranchi, yet he could not ignore the details of the trip shared by Parimal Ghosh. He wondered how the man knew so much about him. Now he became doubtful, and to settle his doubt, he called up Dinesh Mukherjee, who according to Parimal Ghosh was also in Ranchi at that time. But to his surprise, Dinesh Mukherjee also confirmed his visit to Ranchi. Now Bipin Babu's head started spinning. He lost his appetite, means he didn't feel like eating anything. So children, what do you think? Was Bipin Babu losing his memory? But then how come he remembered everything else except one incident? Isn't it strange? Now will Bipin Babu be able to recall his Ranchi trip? What will he do next? Let's read the third part of the story and find out. After lunchtime, Bipin Babu realized that he couldn't possibly carry on sitting at his desk and working. Back home at 2:30, Bipin Babu lay down in bed and tried to gather his wits together. At 7:30, Bipin Babu's servant came and announced, "Chunni Babu, sir, says it's very important." Bipin Babu sent word that not only was it not possible for him to see Chunni now, but not in several weeks. But as soon as the servant stepped out of the room, it struck Bipin Babu that Chunni might remember something about the 58 trip. Bipin Babu hurried down the stairs and into the living room. Chunni was about to leave. Bipin Babu didn't beat about the bush. "Listen, Chunni, I want to ask you something. You have a good memory and you have been seeing me off and on for a very long time. Just throw your mind back and tell me, did I go to Ranchi in 58? Do you mean you have doubts about having gone at all?" Chunni sat down on the sofa, fixed Bipin Babu with a long hard stare and said, "Bipin, have you taken to drugs or something? Have you forgotten everything? You don't look too well, you know." Bipin Babu sighed and shook his head. I've been working too hard, he said at last. That must be the reason. Must see about consulting a specialist. Paresh Chanda was a young physician with a pair of bright eyes and a sharp nose. He became thoughtful when he heard about Bipin Babu's symptoms. Dr. Chanda shook his head. You know what, Mr. Choudhury, he said. I have never had to deal with a case such as yours. Frankly, this is quite outside my field of experience. But I have one suggestion. I don't know if it'll work, but it's worth a try. It can do no harm. What I suggest is that you go to Ranchi once again. The sight of the place may remind you of your trip. Now you saw, children, that Bipin Babu was not able to concentrate on his work in office and went back home early. The previous day's meeting with Parimal Ghosh kept disturbing his mind. He tried hard to recall the Ranchi incident but failed. In the evening, when he was lying in his bed, his servant came and informed him that Chunilal had come to see him for something urgent. At first, Bipin Babu refused to meet him because he was not in a position to talk. But then he suddenly realized that Chuni might remember something about the 58 trip because he had been meeting him off and on at that time. So he rushed down the stairs and asked Chuni about the trip. Now chat with Chunilal complicated the matter even more. Chunilal not only confirmed his Ranchi visit, but also put a doubt in his mind that there was something seriously wrong with his health. At this point, Bipin Babu decided to consult a specialist, Dr. Paresh Chanda. After listening to his symptoms, Dr. Chanda also got confused because he had never come across such a case in his entire career. He suggested Bipin Babu to go to Ranchi once again, as the sight of the place might remind him of his previous trip. Now, will Bipin Babu follow the doctor's advice? Will he go to Ranchi? Will he be able to recall his visit? Let's read the fourth and the last part and find this out. Getting off the train at Ranchi next morning, he realized at once that he had never been there before. Would a trip to the Hudru Falls help? He didn't believe so, but at the same time, he didn't wish to leave with the feeling that he hadn't tried enough. So he arranged for a car and left for Hudru in the afternoon. At 5 o'clock the same afternoon in Hudru, two Gujarati gentlemen from a group of picnickers discovered Bipin Babu lying unconscious beside a boulder. When he came round, the first thing Bipin Babu said was, I'm finished. There's no hope left. Next morning, Bipin Babu was back in Calcutta. He realized that there was truly no hope for him. Back home, he rang up Dr. Chanda and asked him to come over. Then after a shower, he got into bed with an ice bag clamped on his head. Just then, the servant brought him a letter, which someone had left in the letter box. A greenish envelope with his name in red ink on it. Above the name, it said, Urgent and Confidential. He tore open the envelope and took out the letter. This is what he read. Dear Bipin, I had no idea that affluence would bring about the kind of change in you that it has done. Was it so difficult for you to help out an old friend down on his luck? I have no money, so my resources are limited. What I have is imagination, a part of which I used in retribution of your unfeeling behavior. Yours, Chunilal. When Dr. Chanda came, Bipin Babu said, I'm fine. It all came back as soon as I got off the train at Ranchi. The reason why I sent for you is that I have a pain in the hip from a fall I had in Ranchi. If you could prescribe a painkiller. Now, children, in this part, you read that as suggested by the doctor, Bipin Babu undertook a visit to Ranchi. He went from place to place, but nothing came to his mind. Rather, his head got burdened and he fell unconscious due to stress and exertion. When he regained his consciousness, he felt hopeless. Next morning, he reached back home. He was totally shaken. It seemed to him that very soon he was going to lose his balance of mind. He called Dr. Chanda home. Now, when he was lying in the bed, his servant brought him a letter. Despite his bad condition, he read the letter, and just as he finished reading it, the entire episode became clear to him. He at once understood that it was a trap laid by his friend Chunilal because he wanted to punish him for his insensitive behavior. Now all his tension was gone, and when Dr. Chanda came home, he gave him a funny excuse. He said that he was fine and had recollected everything about the Ranchi trip, and now he just needed a painkiller as he had pain in his hip due to a fall in Ranchi. So children, now you know why Bipin Babu could not recall his Ranchi trip. He was not suffering from any memory loss. Rather, his old friend Chunilal had played a trick on him to punish him for his behavior. Children, isn't it a strange way to punish someone? Do you think Chunilal was right in punishing Bipin Babu? Discuss it with your parents and see what they say. Children, wasn't it interesting? I hope you all liked it. It also conveys a message, and the message is that we should always be with our friends through thick and thin. Means we should not ignore them in their bad times. Now let's understand some new words from the lesson. The first word is
Lapse, a brief or temporary failure of concentration, memory, or judgment.
The second word is meek. It means quiet or humble. Next word is insane, means not in one's senses. The fourth word is intruder, which means one who comes uninvited. Next we have intimate, means very personal and private. The next word that we have is deliberate, means well considered or well thought out. Then we have snuggling, means lying close. And the last word is tranquilizer, means a medicine which calms the mind. So children, I hope the meanings of these new words are clear to you. Now try to use these words in your sentences. I'm sure you can do it. Yes, you can always take help. Now children, it's time to move ahead and do some comprehension check. So are you ready? Let's start with true false. Here's the first sentence. Bipin Babu got a cut in his knee due to a fall in Hudru. The sentence is false because you know children that Bipin Babu had a pain in his hip due to fall in Hudru. Now let's read the next sentence. Bipin Babu's driver's name is Haridas. This again is false because his driver's name is Sitaram, not Haridas. The third sentence is Bipin Babu goes to Dinesh Mukherjee's place to ask him about his Ranchi trip. This is false again because he does not go to Dinesh Mukherjee's place. Rather, he calls him up to ask about his Ranchi trip. The next sentence is Chunilal confirms Bipin Babu's Ranchi visit. This is true. And children, Chunilal not only confirms his Ranchi visit, but also puts a doubt in his mind that something was wrong with his health. Now let's move ahead and take a look at the fifth sentence. Paresh Chanda assured Bipin Babu that he would certainly be cured. This is false because Dr. Chanda did not even understand his case. He had never come across a case like this in his entire career. Now we have question answers, children. The first question is, where had Bipin Babu gone in October 1958? And the answer is, in October 1958, he had gone to Kanpur at his friend Haridas Bagchi's place for puja. The next question is, mention any three things that Parimal Ghosh knew about Bipin Babu. And the answer is, he knew a great deal about Bipin Babu. The first thing was, Bipin Babu had no children. Second, his wife died 10 years ago. And third, his brother had died insane. Now let's take up the next question. How did Bipin Babu feel when he was back home from Ranchi? And the answer is, he felt shaken. He had lost all hope. He got the feeling that soon he would lose his balance of mind. Now the next question. What did Bipin Babu tell Dr. Chanda when he came home? And the answer is, Bipin Babu told Dr. Chanda that he was fine as he had recollected everything after his visit to Ranchi and he just needed a painkiller as he had pain in his hip due to a fall in Ranchi. Now the last question. In the end, Bipin Babu told Dr. Chanda that he had recollected everything. Why did Bipin Babu tell a lie? Can you think of it? Here's the answer. Bipin Babu told a lie because he did not want Dr. Chanda to know about the trick that Chunilal had played on him.
Children, with this, we come to the end of today's video. I'm sure you liked it. Children, did you notice how important a person's mental health is? It is not only vital but also an integral part of one's overall health. It impacts one's emotions, behavior and thoughts in a big way. Poor mental health not only disturbs one's life but also reduces efficiency and productivity. So it is important that you all take care of your mind and body. You can do yoga, meditation or whatever it takes to make your mind strong because health is wealth. That's all for now. I'll be back with some more videos. Till then, stay healthy, stay happy.